It is Marketing Freedom Day here on August 1st. We've rolled into the new crop, but we're also looking back on 7 years of marketing freedom for Western Canadian farmers. And the reality is that, as I said at the opening of the show, it really took dedication for a lot of farmers to continue to push the issue forward. And it also took the dedication and commitment of the politicians at the time. And the Ag Minister was our next guest, Gerry Ritz. Hey, Gerry, how's it going?
Very well, Sean. Thank you. And you?
Pretty good. So, did you? What have you done to celebrate Marketing Freedom Day? What are you doing? Anything special?
Well, I actually attended the retirement of John Nubley, who was the deputy minister at the time when we made the changes to the weed board. He retired, and they had a celebration for him here in Ottawa last night, and I attended that.
You know, Gerry, was there ever a moment where you doubted that this could get done? Like, as I know you were a big proponent of ending this monopoly for a long time, but did you ever have doubts it would actually happen in our lifetime?
Well, we had two minority governments in '06 and '08 that would not be conducive to passing this type of legislation. And then in 2011, when we did have a majority, we also had 3 out of 4 provinces involved that were amiable to making these changes. The timing was right. A lot of the bureaucrats, a lot of the pundits, a lot of the so-called experts said, well, start with malt barley, because feed barley was already out. Start with malt barley, then 2-3 years later we'll do durum, and then 5 years later we'll do wheat. And I said, nope. If we're going to do this, we're going to rip the Band-Aid off, and we're going to do it, and let it flow. That's the direction I was getting from industry at the time. That's the direction that I was getting from other experts on the other side of the file, saying this would help open up the markets, and of course it has.
And as we look back on it, Gerry, has it delivered what we wanted? Obviously, we got marketing freedom, but there was a lot of spin-offs, that benefits we were looking for. How would you evaluate as you look back on it?
Oh, I think we've gained exponentially. Certainly the marketplace has opened up to us. I mean, Japan was very much a wheat board buyer. The first year they came to me and the miller said, we'll buy half from the wheat board, half on this new marketing idea. And halfway through that, they said, screw the wheat board, we're going to go direct because we can get what we want. Warburton's, which was the poster boy for the old CWB as to the big miller in Europe that was buying from them, when I made the change, I got a call from one of the brothers, and he said, are you serious about doing this? And I said, unfortunately, if we lose your business, it has to be. He said, no. He said, we're actually going to start buying more because we can get what we want. And I know you made the mention of CPS wheats and other wheats that are used now for milling. That's exactly what Warburton's was after, and all they could get was hard number 1 red, and that's all the board would sell them. They're now contracting directly with farmers. I know of farmers in Saskatchewan that have 4,000 acres dedicated to certain varieties for Warburton's, for their pastries and so on. So, yes, it has made a difference. You look at all of the small distilleries and breweries that have popped up across Western Canada, especially, it's made a huge difference to some of those markets.
Well, I am not standing in front of us having more malt, like specialty malt houses and microbreweries. I'm not standing in front of that one, man. That's definitely a very.
But you look at the cropping. Yeah, you look at the cropping rotations too, Sean. And canola was king. Still continues to be a major part of everybody's rotation. But at the same time, we've seen wheat acres go back in. We've seen that become a viable part of the operations. Some new varieties have been developed, some not, but that's up to the marketplace, whatever the customers are demanding.
In any sort of government, of liberal or conservative, you always have so much political equity to push things forward, and you were able to really make sure that this was a priority for the Prime Minister, Stephen Harper. Can you just give us a little bit of some sense behind the curtain in terms of just how you just made sure that this all happened from a political standpoint inside the party and caucus?
Well, timing is everything when it comes to moving a major political file like this. I was very fortunate to have a caucus and a prime minister that understood what was required in Western Canada. Certainly, Ontario didn't have a wheat board. Atlantic Canada didn't have a wheat board. There are, a lot of people equate it to supply management. It's not the same at all. One is mandatory, the other is not. So to make those changes politically for us was a no-brainer, but practically it had to be done. We faced some logistical challenges the first year of open market because 50% came right off the combine to the elevators. We'd never seen that before. Everybody was constrained by that 3-bushel quota that hit certain sectors, certain areas of the prairies, and not others. So all of a sudden, the railways were under duress to step up and do that. They still are. because they're moving oil, because they know the grain's going to sit in bins on farmers' fields and they can get to it when they want to get to it. That still has to be addressed in a more fulsome way. Interswitching is part of it. There's got to be a lot more work done on the transportation and logistics side. G3, which is the new partner of the old Canadian Weed Board, have built 4 new major terminals in Western Canada with full flow throughput. They load the 130 plus cars, and they built a terminal at Vancouver that unloads 2 trains at a time, right onto the boats. We've seen everybody else, Grain Corp, we've seen P&H, we've seen everybody else step up and build their capacity and move through the volumes that we can produce in Western Canada. There's always more to be done. There's always more diversification needed. I think the next focus has to be on more processing, more innovation, and push forward with finished products that go into other markets that they don't have that shelf life.
How did the railways, what was their reaction when you made it very clear that you were going to move ahead with this? Were CP and CN comfortable in the old system, or were they looking forward to this new regime of free marketing?
Absolutely, because everything was hidden in the pool accounts. Whether they delivered on time or not didn't matter, because it was all hidden in the pool accounts. Storage and all kinds of charges that went back into the pool accounts that farmers were paying, they didn't even know they were. So it was not a great day for the railways. Everything now is much more accountable and transparent. We've got groups that now peruse and watch what the railways are doing, and they can give you a week by week, car by car, line by line accounting of what's moving and what's not moving. So it's become a bit of a problem for the railways. The problem is, if there isn't penalties that go along with that non-performance, then you really have no stick to make them step up.
Yeah, it very good points. And when you say hidden in the pool accounts, it's really the handle.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking about the handle that they're paid. Is that kind of what you're referring to there?
Yeah. We got rid of the crow rate, which was a good thing because it made things more transparent. But at the end of the day, we didn't see the benefits from that at the time either.
Yeah. Hey, we got an election this fall, man. Are you?
Yeah, we do.
Are you looking forward to election season? And this is an election that, for the first time in a while, you're not going to be on the campaign trail.
That may not happen. We'll see. I'm always a bit partisan, and I don't care who does it. But I mean, at the end of the day, I want to see results, and that's what we always worked on. It was always farmers first. It was always, what are the results that we're going to see? That's what the whole value chain roundtables were about, was to define the result and then build a program around that. Right now, we're seeing money announced, but then no way to get it out, no way to actually make it transform into what's needed by industry. So at the end of the day, it's not about how big a money check you announce. It's where's it going to hit? What target are you after? What's the result going to be? How's it going to benefit farmers? Trickle-down economics and so on. So, as I say, there's still a lot of work to be done on innovation, but more on the handling and the processing and food preparation side.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously a lot of work being done right now. If you look at Protein Industries Canada is just an example, and those clusters trying to get money into increasing more domestic processing of pulse crops.
Well, I give John Nubley a lot of credit for that. As the DM at Industry, the whole cluster package was under that purview, and he's the one who made sure that agriculture got $1 billion. And we've seen some time taken in setting up the management of that, but now some of the projects are being announced at fractionization plants and so on that are happening, and that's good. That's all value added, which we need.
Hey, and last thing, Gerry, are you surprised that the small group of farmers, I would call it a fringe group, that would love the single desk to return? Are you surprised that they've kept to the commitment to try to bring it back, and they haven't quieted down?
No, not at all. I mean, they're living in the past. I used to say if I didn't have a death threat by Tuesday morning, it was a slow week. Now it's Thursday. So, they're still out there. They're still active. But at the end of the day, they're fighting a situation that has changed drastically, has proven to be a boon to agriculture, even themselves. So a lot of them, like Stuart Wells and so on, the NFU, were organic. They weren't under the wheat board to begin with. So they were telling me I had to do certain things that they didn't, which I found kind of hypocritical. But at the end of the day, I mean, 99% of farmers have moved on, have embraced this. We look at the size and scale of today's farms. We look at the values of today's farms, the debt to asset ratios. All of those things are much better in hand because of their ability to manage the timing of their marketing.
Hey, Gerry, awesome stuff, man. Great chatting with you. And on behalf of a large majority of the audience, So we say thank you for 7 years ago sticking to your commitment to get rid of the single desk.
Well, thank you for that, and I understand you've got a big change happening. Haney Seed Farms, as of today, is now in other hands. That's a major change, my man.
Yeah, it is a big one. We're dealing with it over here, but it is a big change, and looking forward to being 100% committed to Real Agriculture. And I still in the industry, of course, but focus full time to this gig. So I'm looking forward to it.
But keep doing what you're doing. We can't get this message out enough. Everybody talks about social license and all these other things that are required. The problem is the mainstream media, not to say you're not, but the mainstream media doesn't even understand agriculture, the politics of it, the practical side of it. The second largest contributor to the GDP, the processing sector is the largest manufacturing sector in Canada, and we get no respect for that. And I think that needs to change, and it's organizations like you that will make that happen.
Hey, appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. That is Gerry Ritz, former Minister of Agriculture, also a former trade critic as well. Hey, Gerry, have a great day.
You too, Sean. Bye.